What's up, goalies? I'm DK the Mobility Guy, and today I'm here to show you how to improve your splits in the net. Before we get into our half butterfly PAILS rails exercise, or a contraction exercise, which is actually designed to create more space and give you that extra range of motion that you need in your splits or in any other area, we need to warm up those areas and we need to prepare the body for an exercise like this. We can't just hop right into a contraction or a space building exercise. Let's call it that, for an exercise that creates space in a capsule. We can't just hop into an exercise like that without preparing the body for it. If we try to hop right into an exercise like that, we are only asking for issues down the road, and we're not going to get the same amount out of those tissues. We're not going to get the same response or the same kind of results as we would if we warmed up that tissue and progressed into that contraction or space creating exercise. So our first movement is going to be a simple frog pose hold. We probably have done this 1,000 times on the ice, but we've also probably done it 1,000 times wrong. So what our frog pose is it's this pose right here, right? Most of us probably get on the ice and start with this movement, but the thing that most of us do wrong is we get here and we push our hips back, right? We sit deep in that because it feels good. Well, we're not getting as much of a stretch through this whole area as we could be. So what I want you to do is get in this position, find your end range, and I want you, instead of pushing your butt back, I want you to keep those hips thrusted forward. You're gonna find that you're not gonna have nearly as much range of motion with those hips thrusted forward, trying to squeeze those butt cheeks together, okay? So we're just gonna start here with a simple frog pose hold at our end range, again with our hips thrusted forward, our pelvis tilted up, and squeezing those cheeks together, feeling a nice pull probably through the hip flexors, the groins, all those areas. You might feel it a little bit back in that capsule depending on where you're tight. But we'll sit here and we'll hold here for 2 minutes. Next, once we've sat there for 2 minutes, we're gonna flip around and hop into our bear pose. This is the same thing as our frog pose, just reversed. So now we're in a seated position, our legs are bent at 90, and we're taking a hold of our ankles, putting our elbows into our knees. Again, sitting up long and tall in the spine, finding our end range, and we can sit there for another 2 minutes. Once we've sat here for 2 minutes, we can do some pulses. So for pulses, I'm going to drive my elbows into my knees while I try to squeeze my knees together. I'm going to use my elbows to not let my knees move, so they're working against one another. It'll look like this. I'm ramping my tension from 0 up to 15, gradually working with each rep more and more. I recommend doing, a couple sets of these contractions, 2 sets of 10 to 15, and maybe on that second set you can progress up to a maximum contraction or a max squeeze. But that first round, I don't want to see you going past 50%, and I want that contraction to last anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. So one full rep would look like this. Squeeze, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax. Take a deep breath and repeat. Squeeze, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. You do that 10 times. Like I said, first round working up from 0 to 50%, and then that second round you can work up to 75, 85, up to 100% of your greatest, safest effort. Okay? When we're doing our mobility isn't like fitness training where we push past our limits. We push to our limits. Make sense? So push to a range of motion. Push yourself to a point of discomfort, not pain. We don't push, we don't stretch, we don't move through pain. We go right up to right before pain, and that's the area where we squeeze and hold and work, and eventually our ranges will get bigger and bigger, so that area that was just in front of us that was painful will no longer be painful. Make sense? Next, we'll come into a half butterfly hold. So I'm leaking right now, guys. It's really hot here in Michigan today. Got the garage door open. So same thing here. I know as goaltenders we have a hip hinge, right? But in this pose, I want our hips thrusted forward. I want a long hip flexor here. I want a nice pull through the inside of our leg here. We should be at an end range, and we're just sitting here passively, again on each side for 2 minutes. If you experience any cramping, that's normal. Cramping, popping, shaking, cracking, all those things are normal. Discomfort is normal, but nothing should be painful. If you have any pain at all, please reach out and we can figure out what's going on. But like I said earlier, if we feel pain, we back out of that range of motion to a point of no pain, and that's where we sit and stretch and hold our pose in. Okay, so once we've done this on each side, we can progress and make this a little more dynamic. So now I'll get in that half butterfly hold, and now I'm just going to rock back and sit my butt towards my heel. Nice and easy. Keeping that foot fully planted on the ground. All 5 toes should stay in contact with the ground. Nice and easy. Making sure we're driving this foot into the ground to help us push back to center, or push back to our starting position. So as I rock back, I'm driving this foot into the ground, using this hamstring to help bring me back up to my starting position. If no hands is too much, you can come down to your hands and do it this way. All right, and now our last exercise is going to be a half butterfly PAILS rails exercise. So this is that exercise I was talking about that creates space in the capsule. So in this movement, we'll actually be creating more space in those areas, and we'll actually see right away after our first repetition some improvements in our range of motion. So I'm not going to take you through a full rep, but I'll work you through the sequence. So you'll find that end range. Okay, we'll sit in that end range for 2 minutes. Sit and hold for 2 minutes. Once that 2 minutes is up, we will begin squeezing everything on the inside of our legs here, both legs, trying to squeeze them together. So I'm squeezing this foot down in the ground, trying to squeeze it in. I'm trying to squeeze this knee in towards my foot, and I'm trying to crumble the mat that is in between my knee and my foot. Okay? I'm squeezing here, squeezing here, squeezing here, squeezing here. Everything's working, and I'm gradually working my way up from 0% to 15%. 15% to 30%, 30% up to 50%, 50% up to 75%. 1% at a time. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working all the way up to 75. Once I get to 75, I'll sit and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's our PAILS contraction. Our rails contraction is going to be the opposite. Now I'm going to try and lift my leg up, which should be impossible because I should be at an end range here. But now I'm working to lift, use all these outer muscles to lift my leg up. and I'm holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Freeze. Take a deep breath. And sit deeper in that new range of motion. As you can see, I just got a little bit of range there and I didn't even do a full rep. Making sure that foot stays planted the whole time. And then we'll sit passively after that rails contraction. We'll sit in our new range of motion for another 30 seconds of passive stretching. Okay? And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So the other side, we find our end range, sit here passively for 2 minutes. Once our 2 minutes is up, our PAILS contraction, trying to squeeze this mat together, squeezing everything on the inside, working from 1 up to 75, nice and easy. This should take about 30 seconds or so, maybe even a little longer, to get all the way up to 75%. After our PAILS contraction comes our rails contraction. I'm going to try and lift that leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe. Find that new range. Sit passively in that new stretch, that new range of motion for 30 more seconds. Okay? Again, this is an exercise that takes time. If you've never done something like this, I don't recommend going up to 75 seconds your first go at it. Work up to 30, work up to 50, okay? Just like weight training. So this is strength training right here. And doing these PAILS rails exercise, we're gaining strength, we're gaining mobility, and we're creating more space in those areas, in those capsules, okay? So we're improving our strength, we're improving our mobility, our flexibility, our overall range of motion, our movement abilities, okay? That being said, treat it as if it's fitness or weight training, right? If you've never shoulder pressed before, you wouldn't go right in and grab 2 100-pound dumbbells and start shoulder pressing, right? No, you'd probably start with 25s. Get good at the movement at 25 pounds, and then you would increase. Same thing with this. Start doing this up to 50%. Once you get good at 50, then you can work up to 60, then 75. There you have it, guys. Follow my social media links here. If you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please reach out, DM me, email me, whatever's easiest for you. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you. Take care.